pages, YouTube. I'd like to welcome y'all to episode of Upnup, which Upnup stands for unique people in unique places, and it's geared towards getting ground level, muddy stories of entrepreneurs as they make their way up from the bottom to the top. And so I've been around all type of unique people with unique businesses or practices, come across great stories, and I just felt I got to get these stories shared to y'all. It can help the next entrepreneur, the next industry person realize that they're either right on track for the right path, or they might want to go in another direction and find some different directions that they can go in. It came from, actually, when I was in college, I was pursuing radio, and when I went to intern, I realized this ain't for me. And I wish that I had got to intern sooner or something like that to realize that, but I see it happen many times with college students or with people pursuing certain businesses, is once they get in it, they realize that it either takes a lot more than they thought, so they go another direction, or sometimes they can get discouraged not knowing that they're one step away from being exactly where they want to be at. So I hope that this show will bring inspiration to many people and help y'all get through the mud. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce the guest of the day. I have here, oh man, I got a good one for y'all today. I don't know why she agreed to this, because she is just full of plenty of places that she's hosting, moderating. I have the owner of Jeanette Ceja Travel Media. We have a moderator and master of ceremonies. She's hosted all type of worldwide events, and I mean prestigious ones. And it's funny, every time I come across her page, she's in somewhere around the world, and she took time to come spend some time with me and give some details of her business and businesses and different roles that she plays. Been a very accomplished person, winning Traveling Host of the Year by World Women Summit, a top 20 global woman, a Best Traveler Creator nominee, and the list goes on and on. So for y'all today, I have Jeanette. Say hi.
Hello, thank you so much, Kennard. It's really my pleasure, my honor to be here.
Yes,
and I love your voice, your leadership, and the show sounds phenomenal. So I'm really honored.
No, thank you for for coming. Thank you for spending some time with us, and I'm gonna thank you for some of the people that you're gonna inspire through this interview. So we'll get into it. So just tell us a little bit about your background, your story of how you got from little Chiquita to world famous journalist extraordinaire.
Sure. Well, my parents are originally from Mexico, and they actually came to Orange County, California in the 80s, so a few years before I was born. So I'm in my native state of California.
Yes.
And growing up here, I was raised in a household where English and Spanish were spoken every day, all day. And I went to school and it was English, and I came back and it was Spanish. It was an amazing immersion growing up in my house and with my family. And I do that to this day. And wow, let's see. As a young girl, I've always been very curious. I've always been a learner, a student, and I was always that classmate who was in the front row.
Oh, wow.
Some people would say a teacher's pet, but I really wasn't for a teacher. I just am such an avid learner. I really want to be front and center. And I'm an avid reader, and I love to learn because I I don't know. I just like to know more about everything, a little bit about everything. Maybe not everything about one thing, but a little bit about everything. And I think the more open-minded we are, the more open to, not knowing everything. It's a great mindset because you're available to keep learning. And I think regardless of your age, and you can always be a student and learner.
That's a very important point that I tell everybody. Like, it sounds cliche, but we say all the time, never too late. Never too late to learn, never too late to experience stuff. And it really is. And no matter how it might feel, because you're looking at peers or different generations or younger people doing X, Y, Z, it's never too late. And I hear plenty of stories of people picking up new hobbies, businesses, experiences that changed their life, and they're well into their 40s, 50s. So don't be afraid to get out there and put yourself in places to learn or experience something new.
Absolutely.
And as a teacher's pet, we would I was the class clown in the back. We'd probably just be throwing paper balls your way in class.
That would be a fun class. I'd be like, not now, I need to study, I need to learn.
No, that's good.
But I love, Kennard, what you were saying, because just a week ago, I was in DC, and I was a moderator at this inaugural event called Latinas in Aviation.
Nice.
And it was the first of its kind event that was honoring women and Latina pilots and women who are in aviation, from air traffic controllers to technical engineers to commercial and private jet pilots.
Wow.
These women are phenomenal, and we are here in the States still in Hispanic Heritage Month, which, just like Black History Month, I think should be 365, 24/7. I think we should always be celebrated and uplifted. But here we are still in Hispanic Heritage Month. And so this was a really special event, and you hear their stories and their journeys, and several of the pilots, for example, some of them were in different careers, and maybe in their 20s or 30s. There was a pilot interviewed for Mexico, and she did it. She was in her 30s, and she was like just so inspiring. She's like, I can do it. And she's still with Mexico. She is a captain now, and she's amazing. And she's really like, you can do it. If you really, really, really want to do something, you'll find a way. I think that was a famous quote by, I'm trying to remember, Bob Proctor, I think. But anyways, if you really want something, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find a reason not to,
That's a fact. That's a fact. And that's important. I'm big, especially after I got my 3 nieces, and I'm always thinking about what to expose them to, just to open their minds of the possibilities of what they can be. And I'm loving the women empowerment for that reason, just that it's opening up the eyes for people to really get in touch with themselves and find what fits them and stuff to go after. Because this world and all the people in it is far from, monolithic.
I think what we want to, and I'm speaking for myself, but I think what I found by interviewing many people is that we really want similar things. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be appreciated. And I think regardless of where people live, what they do, we all want that, right? And so I think that when the youth especially can see that their voice matters, that their dreams, of course you can do it, no limits. It's important to be role models for them too, just to show them, not just to tell them, but to show them. And so, and so I think also when you're saying about your nieces, I have 3 young nieces, and that they motivate me so much, because I want to pave a way for them and for other, young girls, for example, who want to travel or do something that is maybe really highly male dominated, but but that they see, oh wow, there's women that are doing it too. So
that's important. So when it comes to you going from A to B, where did you get started when it came to travel and work?
Well, it's a really good question. I think I would say when I was around 13, 14, even 12 years old, I am an avid reader, and I think reading is really just key to so much.
It really is.
But that's when I started to write as well. And so we would go to Mexico City a lot to visit our relatives, or Michoacan, where my dad is from. And I would bring this little notebook with me. And then eventually with my allowance money, I used to be, check this out for an entrepreneur story. All right. So when I was younger, you got this allowance money, and I was like, okay, little $5 here and there. And I was like, oh, this isn't enough to get snacks, because my whole goal was just to get a lot of chips with my neighbors, so we could go to the pool and eat chips. That was like my goal. And so $5 didn't last very long. And I was like, what can we do to get more chips? And my neighbor, she was like, I don't know. And I was like, what if we go around all our neighbors' houses and say, I'll take out your trash for 25 cents.
Wow.
And we lived in apartments at the time.
Hustle.
We just moved to Tennessee, relocated, it's just early teens. And so she was like, yeah, it's a great idea. And mind you, these were like apartments, and the trash can dumpster was literally like a 20-foot walk, I'm sorry. So it was literally like nothing. And we just knock on doors like, hi, can I take out your trash for 25 cents? And you think they would just feel so like, oh, like, that's adorable. That's kind of sad, but adorable. I'm like, here's $1. And then some of them won't even they were like, don't worry about it. I was like, oh, okay. No, but we would take out the trash. And then check this out. Word got around to my brother and his friends. And so we do this on the weekends. And then I'm like, hi, can I take out your trash? I'm like, wait, someone just came? I was like, oh, heck
your
no.
first lesson in competition.
I was like, oh, heck. And they upped it $1. I was like 25 cents. The vending machine at the pool was like 50 cents for like a bag of Doritos or something. That was my whole goal, was just to have endless chips and stuff. Anyway, so that was kind of where my entrepreneurship came. And then writing at the same time. So just write. And then with my allowance money, I would also invest into disposable cameras, because at that time I could not afford all these amazing cameras. And the iPhone did not exist yet. Social media did not exist. So those were very different times. So it was just really old school, just a journal, pen, disposable camera. Use my allowance money again to develop the pictures at like local pharmacy and CVS, and then print the photos next to my writing. So essentially I was already creating travel journals, travel guides from a very young age, and no one told me to do it. I just love it so much. And I think when you go back to my story,
that's dope.
And people find out about me, it's like, I genuinely just love it so much. I would do it for free, for fun. It's what I love. And so it started at a very young age. And then I was a subscriber to Cosmo Girl magazine, which was the teen approved version of Cosmopolitan. And I remember I got an issue with that J-Lo was on the cover, and I was about 14 years old. And it impacted me so much as a little girl, 14 years old, that I saw like someone who looked like me on a cover. I was like, wow, that I hand wrote. You had like a little P.O. box. I hand wrote a letter, and I was like, thank you so much for having Jennifer Lopez on the cover, and like mailed it at the little post office. Let it go. Never thought about it again. And then like months later, one of my best friends to this day, Isabel, she's my best friend of 20 years now. She's like, she lives in Tennessee. She's like, did you write to Cosmo Girl? And I was like, yeah, why? She goes, because they publish it in the editor's section in like a later issue. And she goes, "You're the only Jeanette Ceja who's 14 years old who lives in Franklin, Tennessee that I know."
Wow.
And so I literally was like, "Wait, what?" And so she like took a picture, and then like I went and got my issue, like, and I'm sure my mom has it stored somewhere in storage. But see what I mean? There's so many ways that I was like, your voice can really matter.
Yeah.
You just have to put it out there, give it a
Yes.
shot.
Yes.
And I was 14.
Listen.
I was 14.
Let that be a lesson.
Yeah, and I was 14, and I remember seeing that. That was my first published, I guess you could say. But yeah, I think that when you want to say something, I think Meghan Markle, she has a story. It's way more fascinating. But when she saw a commercial for soap, dish soap, she talked about this at an award show, I believe. She said that the word said women all across America are washing dishes, and she hand wrote the company and said, "What about men, women and men?" And so she got a response, and I think even like some politicians saw it, and the company changed the commercial to men and women everywhere across the country, and she was a young girl too. So your voice is powerful. Your voice matters, no matter how young or big or small, what you want to say, it matters. And you never know who's listening, you never know who's watching, you never know who you can inspire. And then ironically, today is the Day of the Girl, so it's a holiday celebrating young girls who are doing amazing things in this world. And there's amazing girls all over the world that are doing phenomenal work, and they're like 14, 15, 16. So I'm like, whoa, like
perfect day for an interview with a young girl doing amazing things.
Oh, thank you.
Ding.
And it's Hispanic Heritage Month.
Ding. So you went, that was your first publication.
I guess you could say like editor's note publication. And when I entered high school, I realized like my strengths were communication. So whether that was written, verbal, or just being with people, that I really excelled at those skills. So yeah.
And then, so you went to school for...
High school, yeah.
You went to college for communications?
Yes. So, like most high school students, when you're 17, 18, ready to graduate, you might meet with your student counselor and advisor, and they will say, okay, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Mm-hmm. I really looked into the careers of Oprah, for example, who is a reporter as well. I looked into the careers of... Yeah. And I looked into the careers of the Christiana Amanpour, and I saw their strengths. And so, I went to Belmont, which is in Nashville, Tennessee, and I enrolled in their journalism program. And it's one of the best things I've ever done, because it was small school, small focus, but it was so amazing, because the professors really, really cared about, like if I didn't show up to class one day, they would email me like, you weren't just a number, you were really, appreciated. And, I got 3 internships. I interned at the local CBS in Nashville. Yeah. I interned at for the morning show in Chicago for the Fox morning show, and that's when Tamron Hall was one of their anchors. So I was one of her interns. And then so I did also the CHIPS Quinn Scholars, which is a program that selects about 20 college students pursuing a degree in journalism who are diverse. And I went to DC for their multimedia boot camp. And it just showed me, wow, you can really use writing and incorporate storytelling and broadcast, which was kind of my strength. So just use that.
That's And then so you went, that's where you got your experience when you jumped off the porch. Went into, what was your first either break or company that you worked with professionally?
Yeah, and I just want to say, going back to what you were talking about earlier about your radio internship, when I did my 3 internships, they were 2 in news, and I also interned at the Tennessean, the newspaper.
Yeah.
What I realized was I love communication, I love writing, I love broadcast, but news wasn't particularly for me, and I didn't want to be the messenger of that. But I think that, we do need to know, and I really respect, reporters and news. But for me, in my personal just opinion, I just couldn't do it. So internships for the youth, really important, I think. Internships.
Yes.
Also, mentors. Finding mentors, and also you're never too old, and it's never too late to find a mentor. I have 3 mentors to this day.
I have multiple mentors too.
Yes, and you want a mentor who is someone in different fields. And I have a mentor in public speaking. She's done TED Talks. She's done all these amazing keynotes, and I learned from her, and I rehearsed some speeches with her. And then I have another, I had a mentor who put me on my first red carpet. He passed away a couple years ago, but he was my mentor for like 6 or 7 years. And the great thing about mentors is they always see the potential in you, even if you don't see it. And the reason why they want to help or guide you, or, just like a mentor, provide you any kind of guidance, because they believe in you. They know it's in you.
Yes.
And they know you're committed and that you want to work for it. You're serious. So I think that's what mentors are amazing for. And then, they can guide you based on their experience, what maybe recommend, maybe not what they not do, maybe based on their own experiences, which we've all done. So now I know too. And so, I think the youth is really, really important. I think that the younger generation, which is our youth, but that we make sure they know that they're important, their voices are heard, that they matter, and that anything is possible. I think it's really important.
I saw that you published in various airplane type of publications that you've had written for that. Some of your writings have gotten into airplane publications.
Well, a lot of my work is mostly broadcast, so it's more like TV, it's more in-person event. But yes, I have done some writing, and for magazines, print, digital, online. I think for me it was just constantly pitching to different publications, and a lot of the times I would get a thank you, but we're going to pass. That's something I think in any industry is that, you know what, if you got a no or not right now, it's not personal. I think I used to take it very personally.
Number one thing as an entrepreneur.
Yes, as an entrepreneur, yes, especially it's like, and that's why I think the drive and the motivation. So what keeps me going even after a no, or someone who tells me, I don't think it's possible, a woman's never done this before, or there is not something like this. I think when you're like a visionary, and I'm a huge visionary, and I just don't take no as the final answer.
Work experience. We so did you start in like a blog?
No, blog wasn't even invented until like my mid-20s.
You said that you would pitch articles, so you would write just for yourself almost, and then pitch.
Because writers and journalists have been around since like the 1920s.
Yeah.
And so most publications, probably even to this day, are 80% freelance.
Oh.
So whatever you read, whether it's a magazine, some newspapers have full-time staff, but a lot of publications are freelance. Writers, just like there's editors, there's freelance editors, there's freelance in everything. And I can go more in detail, but there's literally in college, there's a book called The Writer's Market, where It's released every year, and it tells you different trades and publications and magazines, who the current editor is,
Yeah.
what the pay is per word, how long submissions they accepted.
Yeah.
You used to have to mail it in. Now you just email.
Yeah.
You know what kind of stories or what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And so it's literally like this big. So writers and reporters and freelancers have been doing it since like 60,
That's so
70
interesting.
years.
And now that I think about it, I think about just like different media or shows, and people talk about I'm a freelance writer.
Screenwriters too, editors. Some shows will hire an editor for the day, for the week, for so it's really, and I think in LA to me it's just so normal. But I think that people outside of that world are like, hey, what do you mean? Like, but I know people who are freelance writers who you're basically an entrepreneur.
Any independent contractor, freelance, 1099, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Some people think you got to have a business to be considered an entrepreneur. No, if you make your own work and everything like that, you're an entrepreneur. Yeah,
and I think like I know some who make like 5 figures a month or something, or 6 figures. But the thing is, it's like it's not just on them and the industry. It's with any entrepreneur. How bad do you want it? You're gonna stay up late, wake up early, are you gonna make the calls, drive, email? You know what I mean? Like how you get the common thing is you get out of your comfort zone. And I'm constantly out of my comfort zone. The people who see me now are like, oh, this is so fun, and I'm like, there's like a whole decade where like I would buy my own tickets to these travel shows and conferences. I would make my own business cards. I would meet people. And this is something I like to tell people too. It's like, a lot of business is relationships, and really nurturing the relationships
Oh my God, that's so big. If nothing else, relationship, they tell you, your network is your network. Your, it's not what you know, but who you know. All that stuff is so real. And because at the end of the day, people want the best person for the job. Sometimes it's like we have to, if we're gonna have to hire someone randomly, we'll use resume to take a guess on who will be the best person for the job. But if I know this person, I know their work ethic, I know their capabilities, I'm gonna hire that person to do the job. And it's really about who you know. So
it is. I think it's twofold. I think it's about who you know, and people can recommend you and put you in the right place at the right time. But then it's also what you know. So you can have that meeting, that coffee, that phone call, but then it's up to you to show up and show them, okay, well, I can do whatever the job assignment is because because the person can get you to the door, but you gotta open it and you gotta pave a way. And I think that's universal for any industry. And so the thing is now, these days, you're talking about work experience, now in my early 30s, people, places, things are coming to me. And I think it's because over the past 12 years or so, I've really built, I don't want to say like a
12 years,
but I built myself from the ground up, meaning skill set, mindset, self-development, investing in classes for hosting. I did Toastmasters for public speaking, mentors, and I was doing, I worked also in sports for a few years in the morning show in LA, and I would wake up at like 3:30 a.m. to be there at 4:30 a.m. to get off at 1:30 p.m. So I'd have the afternoon to do my travel stuff. I would go to night classes. I would do hosting classes. So I was always super productive. My eye wasn't far away from the goal, and my heart and purpose is and always was travel. But the reason why is, like many people, I understand. I was like, okay, I just have to pay my bills. I have to do this, but I'm not going to let go of this, dream and travel. And then in the meantime, like I was saying before, I went to LA Times travel show that they used to have. I went to the New York Times travel show. I would go and I would sit front row at the seminars and I would take notes and I would learn and I meet people. And I am talking about a span of 10 plus years. I would do this. No one was paying me for my time. No one was paying me for my travel, but I was investing. And that is another thing too. You also have to invest in yourself and whatever industry or craft that you want to work in. Because I mean, I wanted to be the best version of myself.
Yes.
And so I had to invest in myself. And
Yes.
I think that's what stands apart, because when people say, oh, you're looking for a travel expert, you're looking for a moderator, you're looking for this, Jeanette's your girl.
Yeah.
And this has happened over the past couple of
yeah.
years internationally.
Yeah.
And somebody would reach out to me, even when like national news media outlets, they say, you were highly recommended by
Yes.
so and so and so, so we got to check you out. And that's that word of mouth, the
Yes.
people they trust, and then they see your work and they're like, okay, this girl knows what she's talking about, because I've invested so much time, money, belief in myself.
12-year overnight success story right there.
Yeah. And it's really common, and I think that's, especially for young entrepreneurs or young students. And now we live in such a, digital, super fast world, and I mean, this is just, for young entrepreneurs and young students, it's probably a lot different. But I think that still, plant the seeds. And just like a plant, when you plant the seeds, it will grow organically how it's supposed to be. A plant doesn't grow overnight. You need to water it. You need to make the environment healthy. You need to keep it, the sun and water it, and it will grow. And I think that goes back to the mindset, what you believe about yourself. What are you reading? What are you watching? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you with balcony people? People are going to pull you up and push you higher and make you go bigger? Or are you going to be with basement people? People who you're like, I have a dream, I want to do this. And they go, oh, it's never been done for.
Yeah.
You can't, because those are basement people where they want to bring you down. Why? I don't know, but just you can choose who you surround yourself with. So choose to surround yourself with people who are, balcony people, who are visionaries, who are out there and, uncomfortable all the time, but because, that's how you grow. You don't want to be stagnant or plateau. And I think that any entrepreneur, for myself, it's like I'm constantly uncomfortable. Even when I go to I was in Turkey in June, and I was the master of ceremony at a global conference, Global Tourism Forum, and I was in a new country. It was like a long show, live, in-person panels, virtual panels. The names were global, international. So, and things would happen on the fly where, technical or, just, like any show. And I really had to just go through it, and nobody would know that anything, was delayed or going on. I mean, it was pretty much smooth the whole time, but I can be such a pro that even if I'm nervous or I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening, you would never know. Why? Because I've invested into myself. And just the other day, I did a panel. My dad was in the hospital for a week. And I did this live panel virtually. And when it's showtime, I go and I'm very professional, and I'm 100% present, and I give it my heart. And then when it's off, then I can go, whatever's going on. And I think that's another skill that my mentors help me with. It's like when you're on, professional, and you give it your best.
And she talked about the turkey story. And y'all got it when y'all, because y'all are going to follow her on IG. Look at her post. She's a great page to follow because she's always traveling and got dope content from all over the place. But that turkey footage was amazing, from the event to moderator. I was just blown away. And it's funny how, and we'll go into this soon because I got a story about this.
Sure.
How I came across the content, I'm gonna tell you on this story.
I want to know.
So Where do you get your? We're gonna go into some Q&As,
Okay.
and I want to know, where do you draw inspiration? Who inspires you?
Well, someone who we both know for sure. I'm going to start with her. Of course, my mother, who Kennard knows. She, since a young girl, man, my mom is heart of gold. One,
Yes,
such a
she
beautiful
is.
heart. And, I saw her, getting her master's when I was younger here, when she relocated. And, she always pushed me and my siblings to keep, studying. And there would be times I'd be like, I don't want to do this. I want to quit. She'd be like, you are not quitting. You're going to finish your school and that's it. And she's like, I want you to be independent. She's like, I want you to study whatever you want. She's like, I don't care if I have to work 10, 12, 20 hours.
Yes.
You're going to do it. And
Yes.
I don't ever want you coming to me saying, Mom, my
Yes.
husband left me. What do I do? She's like, no, you're going to be, educated. You're going to have a job. You're going to do you with or without. She's like, I want you to be, very independent and contribute to his world. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what
Amazing.
thank you. She really instilled that to me. And she's also a visionary and super spontaneous and always up for an adventure. She's like the most fun. She's the most fun +1 you'll ever meet. Always down to go to dinner, concert, travel. And her laugh is just contagious. So besides my mother, Carmen, I would say Oprah.
Nice.
Oprah. I still watch her motivational videos and read her anything that she writes or talks about. And Oprah, we have the Tennessee kind of connection.
Yeah.
And I almost met her one time.
Almost was a bit.
Oh my gosh, it wasn't time yet, but
Almost was a bit.
there's a spiritual center that pre-pandemic was called Agape Spiritual Center in Culver City. I would go to a lot. And one day, me and Isabel, one of my best friends, we went to the 9 a.m. Service. And it's non-denominational. It's just this place where you can go and hear motivation. And Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith is amazing. And anyways, we went there at 9. It was over by 11. And they were just like, okay, everyone has to go. Go, go, go. And the driveway, everyone's like, we need this cleared. We understand what was happening. We're like, okay, well, let's just go to brunch because, Sunday in LA, what else do you do?
Yeah.
And we felt great. We were at brunch, and then we were seeing all these tags and all these photos of Oprah at the 11 a.m. service with Stedman.
Wow.
And we were like, no,
Wow.
we almost met Oprah. She was taking pictures, and she was like,
Wow.
I was like, my dream. So, yeah, we literally crossed paths. But yeah, Oprah, super inspirational. Salma Hayek, who is just an amazing executive producer. She did a show on Netflix called, I'm forgetting the name, but she's an actress, of course, an executive producer, and she's the Latina, and she's beautiful. Yes, it's very, very clear. She's beautiful. She's very intelligent. And she's very creative. And I like that duality because I think that, especially as a woman, I think that you can be both. You can be beautiful, you can be intelligent, you can be sophisticated, you can be sexy. You can be it all. And so I really like to have all that. And I think Amal Clooney is also another favorite of mine. I just think she's just so amazing, intelligent, beautiful, sophisticated, and she's really passionate as a human rights lawyer, international lawyer. And I find that very inspirational.
I'm going to share a story.
Okay.